Hello, I'm Amanda Farrant. I'm a Communications Officer at Christian Aid. I'm here today with Sally Thompson, who's Deputy Director of the Thailand Burma Border Consortium. Sally, you're here in the UK. You normally live in Thailand, but you've come to the UK to pick up your MBE, is that right?
Yes, that's right. It's quite a special day for me, it is, yes.
So when do you actually go to collect your MBE?
I go to the palace, to Buckingham Palace tomorrow, and the award ceremony is in the morning.
That's really, really exciting. Can you tell me, when did you find out about getting an MBE, being awarded an MBE, and how did it make you feel?
I was actually called on my mobile phone by the ambassador in Thailand, and he was asking me if I had time to speak to him, and I thought this is rather strange. And he called me to see if I would accept the award, and then later I was told I'd be informed nearer the time and I'd be given the dates to choose from. Well, it got to about New Year's Eve and I hadn't been informed, and I had a look on the website and I couldn't find my name on the website, and I thought, oh goodness, I've got it all horribly wrong here, this is rather embarrassing. And New Year's Day came and my family called and they said, oh, congratulations, we can tell people now. And I said, well, actually you can't, I think I made a mistake. And they said, oh no, we've seen it in the paper. And it went under diplomatic and overseas, and I guess I've never seen my work as something that would be termed as diplomatic, but I guess it is overseas, and so I'd missed it altogether. But that's how I found out, and then I decided to come over this summer. So I'm here with my family too, because we can take three guests with us to the palace, so we're all going.
Excellent, that's really exciting. So when you talk about being awarded the MBE for your overseas work, what is that work and how long have you been doing it?
Okay, so I've actually been awarded it for my community work with Burmese refugees in Thailand, and I've been working with the Thailand Burma Border Consortium now for almost 20 years. And so I got into this work. I was originally a volunteer teacher. I used to be in a Karen community on the border in Thailand, and it was through that I got to learn about the situation of the ethnic people in Burma. And also at that time there were some Burmese students who had fled from the democracy uprisings back in 1988, and so I also learnt about the political movement. So it was while I was teaching in this community that I became more aware of the general situation for the people in Burma. And then I also learnt about the aid work that was happening on the border. And at the end of the school year, once the students had sat all their exams, I thought, this is it, I'm going to try and get a job working with refugees, and that's how I started.
And what was the situation like back then? Why were refugees flowing across the border?
There have been refugees coming into Thailand for over 25 years. Really, they started coming in about 1984, although displacement in Burma had been going on for many years prior to that, as essentially the Burmese regime has sought to take control of all the areas that were once sort of ethnic homelands, which are very resource rich. Burma is a very resource rich country, everything from timber, teak, very rich in teak, gems, jade, sapphires, rubies, mining, and also it used to be the rice bowl of Asia, so the land is very fertile. And so gradually over the last 60 years, the Burmese army has been pushing into the ethnic homelands to take over their territory, and this has pushed the ethnic groups sort of closer and closer to the borders with neighbouring countries. And in '84, the first group of refugees were pushed over into Thailand. But at that time, everyone thought it was very temporary. It was thought that in the rainy season, the Burmese army would go back and all the people would similarly go back across the border. So at that time, the NGOs in Thailand were just asked to provide very basic minimum assistance, nothing that would attract more refugees to come into Thailand, and such that as soon as the situation changed, the people could go back. Well, 25 years later, and we're still getting new arrivals coming into Thailand because of the conflict in eastern Burma, and also the ongoing human rights violations. As the Burmese army has moved into these areas, they now have a policy where each battalion has to look after itself, and it goes in, confiscates land, gets people to work for them, to build their barracks, to porter for them, carry supplies to the front line. And so we see people also coming in, not because their village has necessarily been attacked, but they're either being recruited as porters or for the army, or to do labor for the military based around their villages.
Over the years, how many refugees have actually fled from Burma across the border into Thailand, do you think?
Well, into the camps, it's really been a steady influx from 84, when about 10,000 came across, until today, where we have 145,000 in 9 camps along the border. We've never had a huge outflow at one time, never more than 15,000 people in 1 year. But there's also refugees that have gone into other countries. So there are people from Burma in Bangladesh, in India, in Malaysia. So it isn't just Thailand that's a receiving country. But aside from refugees, Thailand is also host to many migrant workers. There's anything from 2 to 3 million migrant workers from Burma currently in Thailand.
Wow. Why do the refugees go into the camps and apply for refugee status when there's so many migrant workers actually working in Thailand? Isn't it easier just to migrate and become a migrant worker?
Most of the migrant workers are illegal, so they are subject to arrest, detention, deportation at any time. For the refugees in the camps, most of those have come from eastern Burma, from the very rural areas, people where they have just been displaced because of the Burmese army activities in their areas. So they tend to be people who've come from those very particular villages where there's been ongoing conflict, whereas a lot of the migrant workers have perhaps come from some of the more urban areas, and they have come and they've taken a risk and they've gone further into Thailand. Maybe they had some of the skills required in the construction industry, for example, but it's very tenuous existence for both. In the refugee camps, we have many people who are unregistered, who don't have any legal status. Technically, the people who are registered in the camps, if they go outside of the camp, they're considered an illegal migrant worker, so they're subject to the same arrest, detention, potential deportation. So it's a very... People live on the line, basically.
But the camps offer, obviously, refuge, safety, security to those refugees that choose to come into the camps. What does TBBC provide for the refugees? What support do you give to the refugees in the camps?
Okay, so for TBBC, we provide food. So people get the basic food basket, and we also provide building materials, cooking fuel, and other essential items for new arrivals like mosquito nets or blankets. Because the refugees are confined to camp, they're not allowed to go outside. Technically, they're not allowed to work. So we've seen over the years that they've essentially become almost totally aid dependent. So at present, we provide all their minimum basic needs, and then other NGOs are providing healthcare, services for healthcare and education. But although the support comes from the international community, the refugees do it all themselves. So, for example, in all our warehouses, for all the ration distributions in the camps, we've got about 2,000 refugee staff who are working to implement the program. And similarly, the health workers, they're all refugees. They're people who've been trained to deal with the diseases that are prevalent in the area, which is malaria is the big one. And in the camps, you have malaria, skin diseases, respiratory tract problems, and diarrhea. They're probably the main diseases that people present in the clinics, in the camps. And then if it's too serious, then those people are referred to the Thai hospitals in the local towns.
TBBC, Thailand Burma Border Consortium, is going to be the focus of our Christmas appeal this year, which we're very excited about. What what can the international community do? What can we do here in the UK to help the situation, to give hope to the refugees?
I guess don't forget them. Don't ever forget them. They're always... Some of these people have been here 25 years. They do all want to go back. They would all, if they could go back to their homelands, I believe they would go back tomorrow. So the only thing really is somewhere there has to be a political solution found to the situation in Burma. There has to be peace brought back to these communities before they can return. So until such time as they can return, we have to find a way to give their lives more meaning, to give them more dignity, so that they actually can perhaps choose more for themselves. We're trying to reverse this aid dependency, trying to find ways people can become more self-reliant, be able to do more for themselves and their families. So we're trying to create income generation opportunities within the camps and in the perimeters of the camps, so that people can engage in more agriculture, they can engage in more, we can expand their skill base that they've already got in handicrafts, weaving, those kind of things, so that they want to provide for themselves. They don't want handouts. We get people when they receive food and they sort of say, you know, I've got hands. I know how to make the land work for me. If I had land, I would just plant and grow and take care of my family. And there's a lot of, for some they're ashamed. They feel ashamed that they're having to be given their food when they know that if they just could go back to their village, they would be able to plant again and look after their families.
Thank you, Sally, so much for talking to us. We're very excited about you receiving your MBE. I wish we could all be there to see it, but we're very proud as well. I'm very proud of the work that Thailand Burma Border Consortium does particularly, and we wish you luck in the future and continuing hard work with the refugees, and we'll continue to support you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For us, for me, it's great to have the recognition for the work that's being done on the border, and for really it's recognition of the work that everybody's doing out there to try and better the lives of those people who are in limbo and currently are refugees in Thailand. So thank you very much.
Thank you.